When you go into Sage View right now and you go into the KPI reports or key performance indicator reports area, you're going to see that there's 3 types of reports you can run, which give you a little bit of a different perspective on the information that you're sort of gathering and compiling here. And based on how you choose your filters, you're going to be able to look at that information differently. That's what we're going to show you in this lesson. Let's go ahead and see what this looks like. How to use KPI reports in Sage View. There's basically 3 reports you have to choose from. The KPI Value Summary Report, the KPI Industry Value Summary Report, and the Chart of Accounts Report. Let's just click on Reports for a minute so we can kind of get them all in one list. And then from here, we'll click KPI Value Summary Report. And it's pretty much what it says. So we're going to go in here and we're going to choose which companies. Remember that the beauty of this is accountant-centric. So the idea here is that I'm an accountant. I might have 6 different clients that I want to analyze together, right? I might want to be able to see them all. So you can select all companies or select just one or several, whatever you want to do. Then the KPIs here, we can be specific. I can choose select all, but let's say I just want to see efficiency and I want to see liquidity. And within each of those, I'll look at everything. Then the calculation period, let's do year to date. I like the rolling 365 option actually also, so that I could just look at the last 12 months based on whatever today's date is. In fact, that's probably one I would use a lot in my own practice. Click apply, and we get a report. And as you can see, so the grouping is just KPIs, and here's liquidity and efficiency, and then it gives you the KPI name within each, lets us know which company, right? And then over here, we get the answer. So the cash on hand, right? It's giving me not applicable for the quick ratio. So that might be something I'd want to go look at and see why that is, because what that's suggesting to me is that it doesn't have the information it needs to calculate that, which it should, right? There's balance sheet information. So that actually brings us to another report that we can run. So let's go right over to the Chart of Accounts report, because this is where, when I was playing around with this myself before actually recording everything, at a certain point I said, I want to go look at the actual financial information that's being used to derive some of this information to make sure that I understand how the calculations are being arrived at. So let's run the chart. Let's go to the Chart of Accounts report. And again, we only have one choice for company. So I just want to look at accounts that have balances. And we'll look at year to date. And of course, as of today. And what I want to see is, why would I get a quick ratio? Well, a quick ratio is going to be current assets divided by current liabilities, right? So let's see if when I get this report up, when we look at the balance sheet accounts, if we don't have information about that. And what we're looking at here is, on the left side is the normalized chart of accounts, and the right side is incoming. So incoming meaning this is what's in the accounting software. Normalized, if you remember in the last lesson when I showed you the account mapping, we're taking a lot of the detailed accounts, account levels, so to speak, and kind of rolling them up into more generic categories like cash, and it's either restricted or unrestricted, right? So in this case, everything's unrestricted. So just so you understand what you're looking at here, left versus right. So left is kind of how Sage View looks at it. Right is what's in the accounting software. And it also, obviously, you can see how things are mapped by looking at this report. So I want to look at current assets, right? So here's my balance sheet. I certainly have current assets. I have cash. I have receivables, right? Inventory normally should be excluded from the quick ratio. So now let's go down and look at debt, right? And I've got some accounts payable, right? So there's some current liabilities. So I'm not sure why the quick ratio is not calculating for that, to be very honest with you, but it should. So let's go back, and if I go to my, let's go back to my client summary. Even here, we've got a quick ratio calculated. So it's working here. Not sure why it's not showing up in the KPI value summary report. It should. It should, so that's something I'm going to have to go back and ask my friends at Sage about. Say, hey, why isn't this working? It should be working. So again, and let's just select all. Maybe it's based on what I didn't include in the rest of the report. Maybe in order for these to calculate properly, I need to include, the other balances, the cash and receivables and so on. So let's try that. Let's test that theory. And let's say we want to do all periods. So we're just basically saying, show me everything. Show me absolutely everything. And let's run this. And it's probably going to take a second because I asked it to process a lot of information. And then, of course, there's Google Chrome. All right, so what do we have? So our grouping is KPIs. We have our KPI categories here. We have a KPI as of today of 3.2, a rolling KPI of 3.9, but we don't have month to date, quarter to date, or year to date. And it might be that I don't have comparable data to compare with based on last year's month, quarter, or year. So that could explain why. So that's the story. But as you can see now, just based on what I chose to include or what I don't choose to include, I can see all this. And I love this because now I can get some good comparative data, right? I can look at what things look like as of today, month to date, quarter to date, year to date, and then, of course, again, my favorite, the rolling 365, right? So that's how you're going to start messing around with these reports and deciding. Now, once you run it, by the way, all your options that you chose kind of get cleared out. So this way, if you want to make some changes, you have to kind of do it all over again. So we're going to select all here. We're going to do all the calculation periods. But let's come back over here, actually. Let's not select all. And let's say I just want efficiency and liquidity again. And let's stick profitability in there. Why not? And then apply. Yep. So I got that. I definitely did that and those. And I need today's date. And here we go. So again, on the quick ratio, I've got today and I've got the rolling 365. I just don't have the other interim periods able to be calculated here. So that is the story. But again, so you can chisel it down and see just a few things, or you can look at it and see everything. So you have a lot of flexibility here to customize exactly what you want to look at. And again, in the last lesson, I'm going to get to where we'll take this kind of a step further in terms of what I would probably want to have you do with it, as far as, adding this on and what it looks like as an added service to the service that you're providing to your clients. So now we've looked at the value summary report and the chart of accounts report. That leaves us with one more, the KPI industry value summary report. And really what this is going to do is, so let's say you have lots of different industries represented across all your clients, so you can group it by industry. That's what it really comes down to. In this example, we don't have really a good sample data set for this purpose because I only have one company with one industry. So the idea, though, is if I had 3 different industries, it would break it down by industry. So I'd say select all, and let's just select all across the board so you can kind of see what this looks like over with today's date and apply. And again, we're processing a fair amount of information, so it's going to take a minute. And here it is. So again, now we have an extra column here for the industry. So within the utilities industry, here are the different groupings, the KPIs. These are the financial balances, right? And then within that, I have the specific KPI category. And notice here I have the different client companies. So if I had more than one company, then I would see those in here. So I'd be able to see all the companies in a particular industry and what their information looked like. Now this could be very useful information, especially if I'm an accountant who specializes, let's say, in certain industries. Then for at least one of my industries, for example, I can see how I could sort of pit my clients against one another. Not that I would share that information with the clients, but you can certainly use that to analyze which clients are doing better versus others. And you might look at it from the standpoint of, okay, now that I've run this report, I see there's this one client in particular where their quick ratio or their profitability is not as good as the other clients in the same industry, and I can start thinking in terms of what can I do to help them? What can I do to help those clients do better? Again, major value add to the service that you're offering your clients when you start doing stuff like this. And the clients won't be expecting it, so they'll be so blown away when you come at them with this kind of information. So that's what the industry value summary report is really all about. And that's the whole report section for right now. So, not rocket science, not a whole lot to do. And as always, what I'm going to tell you to do is, if you haven't already, make sure you get a SageView account set up so that you can get caught up with me here and play around. And go in and play around with these reports. Make sure you understand what they're telling you. We haven't gotten into it yet, but we are also going to talk about the actual ratios and what they all mean. And again, that's going to come up across really the next 2 lessons when we talk about customizing your experience. And when we talk about keeping your customers, that's where we're going to really talk about how to, sort of paint the picture of what this really looks like when I'm using this and providing the service to my clients. So make sure you can get caught up with me. Make sure you've got this far where you can get into the reports and run them and understand all the little differences from one report to the next. And then, like I said, we can customize our experience, which is where we're going to start taking a look at how we can establish different sort of benchmarks and looking at these ratios on almost more drilled down on a more comparative basis. So once again, I hope you had some fun and learned something along the way. I hope you're having an absolutely fantastic day, and I look forward to seeing you in the next lesson. As you can see, the reports area of SageView is pretty simple and straightforward. Not exactly rocket science, but gives you good and powerful information that you can use to help start providing that strategic advice to your clients, the very same advice that they're most desperately looking for from you. Now let's start taking a look at how you can customize your total experience within SageView, which is going to take us back to the KPI area, the client summary area, with all of the different KPI widgets that you've already started to see. We're going to look at how that stuff gets customized and what that looks like.